Okay. Hello, everybody. We are on in the Seagull, and we just got through these first two paragraphs, right? Did we finish this second paragraph?
I didn't think so, but I could be wrong.
Let's jump in. Where did we stop?
I thought we stopped at the end of the
Over here?
at the end of the part with the lake.
No, because we
believe
talked about how the stage and the lake and what was the purpose of the lake if we knew about the stage.
You got
I
it.
think we stopped at a few chairs, a little table.
Nice. So
Yeah,
just
right
a place to sit. Okay. Our stage manager will read the rest of the this last paragraph here, and then we'll talk about that.
All right. The sun has just set. Yakov and other workmen are busy on the stage behind the lowered curtain. Sounds of hammering and coughing. Masha and Medvedenko come in from left, returning from a stroll.
Okay. What did we learn?
We learned that Masha and Medvedenko do things together.
All right. Does this hit any of the four given circumstances here? I think there's definitely a win.
The sun has just set, so we know it's evening because the sun went down.
Right. It's evening. What's another word for that?
Dusk.
Dusk or twilight, right? It's not completely dark. It's that transition time. We don't have a specific time of day yet. And they're also right after something. Masha and Medvedenko are right after.
A stroll.
A stroll, great. There we go. So we have twilight, we have a lake, we have a park, and we have a stroll, and we have a man and a woman. Does that do anything for you guys? For me, it sets up some kind of expectation. Now we're going to enter into, if you thought Tuesday was boring, we're going to enter something even worse. We're going to start doing what is called a flat reading of the text. And I'm going to stop sharing for just a second so I can see your beautiful faces. A flat read is a Stanislavski technique when we encounter new material. Has anybody ever done one before? Okay,
Yes.
Aspen, jump in, Aspen. What is it?
It's just when you read without making inferences in your voice and no inflections, no acting out the character. You just read it as if you were reading instructions for a recipe. I don't know, like just reading it.
Totally. Just to give you an example, it should sound like this. Part of the park on Soren's estate. A hastily erected stage for private theatricals stands across a broad avenue leading into the park toward the lake. Very even. Every one of my sentences ends like sort of with a Canadian lilt. You guys hear that? Part of the park on Soren's estate. It kind of lifts at the end. Us Canadians, we say everything like it's a question. And it's why everyone thinks we're so nice. We can say the meanest things in the world, but people think we're nice because it sounds like a question. You know? So we're going to read like that. Why would we choose to do something flat like that when encountering new material? Someone besides Aspen.
To get more familiar with it and the context.
Okay, context means a lot. Context is another fancy way of saying given circumstances, right? Anybody else have any insight as to why we do this?
You might learn something later in the play that could affect how you state things at the start of the play.
By the way, you're British. Okay, cool, good to know. By the way, you have no legs. It could be anything. All right, anything else?
You don't want to assume something if you have not read the play before.
Of course. Keep going, Keenan. I didn't want to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think my experience at Phoenix College is that a lot of times people assume a character by just the description,
Mm-hmm.
and then you read the play, and it's a completely different character.
Of course. And these assumptions are mainly brought in by you from outside the world of the play. So just be careful with those. Also, there's a scientific reason we do it this way for a number of different things, but it mostly has to do with something called a neural pathway. Have you guys ever heard of neural pathways before? So, Rachel, what is your major?
It's psychology.
What is a neural pathway?
It's basically the way that electrons communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm. And they'll take the least, the path of least resistance every single time. Because like electricity, it'll take the least path of least resistance. So what happens is anything you do or any stimuli you encounter is going to blaze a neural pathway in your brain as you respond to it. Everything has a stimulus, every stimulus has a response. So every response you have has a neural pathway. Someone throws a ball at your face, you're gonna move or you're gonna lift a hand. The more times it happens, the better you are going to be at getting that hand between the ball and your face. Well, you entered in this brand new environment where the first time you've ever looked at these words and said them out loud, you're going to encounter something like this. I'm going to share my screen again. Come on, PDF, there you are. Follow me closely. Part of the park on Soren's estate. A hastily neglected stage for private theatricals stands on a Brad Avenue leading into a park toward the lake. Stop right there. What did you hear? I'll read it again. Part of the park on Soren's estate. A hastily neglected stage for private theatricals stands on a Brad Avenue leading into a park toward the lake.
The set?
Yeah, I've actually changed words out. I've missaid things. Are you catching that at all?
You
Yeah, I was wondering if you
said broad.
I'd
Yeah,
say
the only I
Brad
caught was
Avenue.
broad.
Yeah, you said that.
I said
said
on a Brad
neglected.
Avenue instead of across.
You said neglected instead of erected.
I said
Yeah.
neglected instead of erected. Okay, so we do that all the time. We miss words up and when we fumble and we drop things. And we think nothing of it because we know the word erected. I know that word. I know it's not neglected. It's a totally different word. So I, in my brain, go, doesn't matter. But have you ever been on stage before with someone who's like, hastily neglected stage? I'm sorry, it's erected? Yeah, sorry. A hastily neglected stage. No, it's erected? Yes, sorry. This line always gets me. Have you heard that phrase before? This line always gets me. It's because at the very beginning of the process, that neural pathway was blazed. We never did anything about it. And we kept doing it, and we kept blazing it. So we're super good at catching that ball, but it's the wrong thing. You've heard practice makes perfect, and that's sort of not true. Perfect practice makes perfect. And practice, the real phrase should be practice makes permanent. So someone asked Michael Jordan, a question about his playing. And he talked about how often and how much he practices still at the top of his game. And they flippantly said, practice makes perfect. He goes, no, because if I go out and shoot free throws and I miss all of them, I'm practicing missing. I've got to practice correctly. Therefore, I know it's a digital thing, so we can't. Hey, Hui, can you turn your camera on, bud? I got to know it's you and not your little brother. And I don't care if you eat. It's okay if you eat on camera. You're totally cool. It's right in the middle of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're fine. So we're going to be super careful at the beginning. My last analogy about this, how many of you guys iron your own clothing? Okay, get on it, Alex, because you're going to meet somebody and want to marry them, and they're going to be very sad. So if you iron your own clothing, you understand what I mean by there's a wrinkle. And what if you iron that wrinkle into your pants or your shirt?
It'll be totally stuck in there.
Yes. So we're trying to get the wrinkles out at the beginning. And that way when we come back to our script, we have these little circles. Every time we stumble over a word, we'll just break a little circle. And we come back to our script to work, and we'll hit the circles first. And I lied. There's one more analogy. It's like music. There's a hard passage in this next stanza coming up. That's not where the mistake usually happens. It usually happens right before the hard part because you're so worried about the hard part coming up. So you'll trip over the easy little things ahead of it. Musicians know what I'm talking about. It's usually the simple words leading up to a weird phrase that we're messing up. That's where the mistake usually happens. So just keep your minds out and let's iron our clothes, okay, literally and figuratively. And I'm going to go back to sharing. Okay. So Medvedenko, Masha, super robots. That's all we're asking of you. Let's start right here with your first line, Medvedenko. Did we assign parts on Tuesday?
Yeah, we assigned a few.
Yes, we did.
I felt like we did.
I know I'm Soren. I know that one.
So we need a schoolmaster. Someone pick that up.
I'll do it.
Thanks, Ethan. Do we have a Masha then?
Wait, no, it's Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Yes, I am Masha.
Great. Here we go, Alex. You start, and we'll go all the way down to happy.
All right. Why do you always wear black?
Oh, hold on, Alex. That sounded like you really asked a question.
Oh.
Flatten it out.
Oh, okay, yeah. My bad.
Yep.
All right. All right, hold on. I'm trying not to do it. Okay.
It's hard.
Why do you always wear black?
Because I'm in mourning for my life. I'm unhappy.
Why? I don't understand. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your health. And though your father is not rich, he's not badly off. My life is much harder than yours. I only earn 23 rubles a month, and my insurance is deducted from that. But I don't wear mourning.
Money is not everything. Even a poor man can be happy.
All right. The only thing I would change, Mala, is maybe lifting those ends of those lines. Money is not everything. Even a poor man can be happy. The reason we're doing that exercise is because the American dialect tends to go down at the end of each sentence. Money is not everything. Even a poor man can be happy. I'm going to the store. I'm going to buy some groceries. I'm going to bring them home. We want to start lifting because that's going to help us drive thoughts that are longer than our American brains want to make them. So just lift those a little bit. You'll be great. Alex, it's a marathon. So you did great with why do you always wear black? I don't understand. I mean, there's nothing. That was great. And then you started relaxing a little bit. And it got more like you were acting.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that nice and flat the whole time. Okay, that said, did we learn anything given circumstance-wise? Check your notes.
Masha wears black.
She does wear black. What do we know for sure?
She's unhappy.
She's unhappy, and she's wearing black right now. Okay? Now that makes a big difference. How do you as an actress use that piece of information? Put yourself in her shoes for a second.
It probably
Well, it
means
says
that she's unhappy right now.
Okay? Aspen?
I was gonna say, well, it says that she always wears black. So like, I don't know, I'm just like thinking before and after wise, like when she got out of bed this morning and she got dressed, she just knew that she was gonna wear black. It wasn't a question. So
Right.
so there was a reason for it, but it's part of how other characters perceive her as well.
Totally. Medvedenko is the one who's saying it. So he has noticed that she wears black a lot and uses the word always here. Is she a never nude? Does she like take showers in her whole black outfit and never takes it off? No. So she doesn't always wear black. But she's wearing black right now. And I love what you said, Aspen. She decided this morning, she went to her closet. I think Ethan was hitting on this as well. I was like, I'm going to wear this today because I'm in mourning for my life. Have you ever picked out a piece of clothing to wear for a specific reason during the day? Okay, now you and Masha share this. You've done the same thing. When I'm in the dressing room, this is for everybody. When I'm in the dressing room, I'm not going to put my costume on. I'm going to go into my character's closet and I'm going to decide to wear this outfit today. For this reason, because I guarantee you that costume designer has thought about today, especially when they put that costume together for you. And you're going to find so much information about your costume. I think you're going to find that your costume then becomes a given circumstance because it fits the criteria for given circumstances and that they have to affect two things. What do they have to affect?
How you walk and how you talk.
How you walk and how you talk. Are your shoes going to affect that? Absolutely. Are your pants? Absolutely. Is your corset? Absolutely. So this is awesome stuff. Okay. So she's wearing black. She's unhappy. She's in mourning for her life. What else did we learn?
For Medvedenko, well, I assumed that because he was an estate agent that he was very well off and made a good amount of money, but it says that he only makes 23 rubles a month.
Look to the left and find Medvedenko.
Wait, I'm dumb.
You're not dumb.
Were you talking about
He's the
her dad?
schoolmaster.
Yeah, you mixed up Russian names. I can't call you dumb for that because these are stupid hard. Alex, did you jump in there?
Yeah, it was talking about her father wasn't rich.
And her father actually is the estate agent, right? All right, so cool. You kept using words there, Nerman, that I'm going to kind of kick you in the shins for because they were kind of judgy. Do you know what words those were?
Well, one was probably assumed.
Assumes just is a verb, so it can't be judgy. But I think it was well off is what you said.
Oh, yeah.
And not a lot. Now, look here. I wish I could, can I highlight? Maybe I can. Let's see. This phrase here, that tells me something, given circumstances wise, about Medvedenko.
He sees himself as less than her and other people in the state.
If he said, I earn a whole 23 rubles a month. Rubles, sorry. I earn a whole 23 rubles a month. That'd be different. But he says I only earn 23 rubles a month. He doesn't feel like it's enough. That's something important for that character. And then the most important thing I think we learned in this whole thing is this phrase right here. What is that?
I think it shows how Masha doesn't really have a need for money, and even without it, she's happy, or she could be happy.
And that translates into a worldview statement for her, doesn't it? Worldviews are really focused around what do we have to do to make ourselves happy? What do we have to do to make ourselves fulfilled? What do we do to have to keep out of trouble? Those are all worldview type statements. All right, cool. Moving on. Nicely done. Medvedenko, pick it up. We'll go down to just this paragraph, actually.
All right. That may be. Wait. That may be all right in theory, but in practice, it is quite different. I have to provide for my mother, my 2 sisters, my little brother, and myself, and all on 23 rubles. We must eat and drink, mustn't we? Mustn't we? And what with the price of tea and sugar and tobacco? What a life.
Nicely done. Any new info there?
We learned that he is a son and he's a brother. Cool. Because it says that my mother, my 2 sisters, my little brother.
Yep. Anybody missing from that list, Mala? Anybody help her out? Who's missing?
His dad.
Yeah.
Dad.
We got no dad in this situation. So all of a sudden he has moved from this kid and his family to the primary breadwinner as a schoolmaster on 23 rubles a month. And you can see there's a little bit of pressure on him to make enough for everybody to eat, right? Sounds like little brother's too young to work. All right. Terrific. Masha, and we'll have stage manager read all the things in parentheses, so give him space to do that. Go for it. We're going to go all the way down to that's not important.
Glancing at the stage.
The play will be starting soon.
Yes, Nina will be acting. And the play was written by
Sorry.
You moved it. You're good.
Where are we? There we go.
The play was written by Konstantin. They are in love. Tonight their souls will unite in a endeavor to give expression to one and the same artistic idea. But your soul and mine have no points of contact. I'm in love with you. I long for you so much that I find it impossible to stay at home. Every day I walk 4 miles here and 4 miles back, but all with all sorts of trifles, so that on the very first...
I'm going to stop you right there, Alex.
Okay.
We got to go from here down to here.
Oh.
So every day I walk 4 miles?
Yeah, I walk 4 miles here and 4 miles back, but all I get from you is indifference. I can't say I'm surprised at it. I haven't any private means, and I have a large family to support. What's the use of marrying a man who can't even provide for himself?
That's not important.
All right. So I would take my my pencil out and I would circle the word important because I have a little wrinkle there. Does that make sense? All right. There were other mistakes in the text too. I'm not just harping on Mala for that one little thing, but I'm pointing out because it was at the end and we could find it easily. All right, what do we learn here, folks? And tell me what given circumstance it lines up with, if it's who, what, where, and when.
For Nina, she says that her play is starting soon, so that means that she's an actor.
Okay, looking at the left-hand side of that page, does that check out?
No.
Okay, we do have an actor. It's Irina, but Nina's acting. Okay, but we have a writer, and that's Constantine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to kick you in the shins. I'm leading it down a garden path. It's a bad way to go. Who's our writer?
Boris.
Boris is our writer. Constantine's just a young man. What does he know? So what we have right at the top of the show here are two people not doing their jobs, or better yet, doing other people's jobs. So the status quo that gets set up over here on the left-hand side of the page is already upset by two people not adhering to their character descriptions. And that's how plays function. We knock the status quo and just know that Nina's going to be acting tonight. And so it's opening night for your play, Nina. Who else is it opening for? Turn your microphones on and let's just jump in, guys. It's really boring over here by myself.
Constantine's in it as well, right?
Well, he's not in it, but he wrote it, right? Anybody ever write a play or a book or anything like that? When you first show it to people in real life, or make a project even?
Yeah.
And you show it to someone, that's a big deal. Okay, what else did we learn?
You learned that Medvedenko has to walk a long ways to get to where he's at.
Ethan, do you know how far 4 miles is from your house? Can you imagine?
It's a
I
long
can
ways.
imagine. I would not want to walk that twice a day.
Twice a day.
And for love.
And for love. What kind of love, Christopher?
It seems some pretty intense love, but it also seems kind of one-sided.
One-sided love, I think, is the best non-judgy way to say that. Yeah. This is my favorite line in the whole play, I think. Your soul and mine have no points of contact. What a poetic way to say you're not that into me. Especially bumped up against this phrase here, they're in love. Tonight their souls will unite in an endeavor of expression to one and the same artistic idea. Their souls are uniting, like becoming one. Our souls don't even touch. There's no even like ET moment or anything. All right. Large family to support, no private means. That means like no trust funds or anything like that. Anything else we learned? Should I be monitoring the chat? Because it's hard for me when I share the screen. Do I need to answer any questions in chat?
Oh, no.
No.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you're using it. I like that you guys are talking to each other during class. I hope it's about class stuff. I will say this. He just walked 4 miles. He's got 4 miles ahead in the dark, because it's evening now. It's dusk now. It'll be dark by the time he leaves. And what do they choose to do together?
Walk.
Yeah. So that's some commitment. All right, let's move down. We have another worldview line right here from Masha. That's ugly. I've never highlighted with a PDF before. It's very fun. All right. So stage manager, take over.
Take snuff.
I'm touched by your love, and sorry I can't return it. That's all.
Offers her snuff box to him.
Help yourself.
Alex.
I was muted.
Yep.
No, thank you. I don't feel like it.
Pause.
Stop. Okay. Real short. This is what we call a beat. One little piece of action. Did we learn anything here?
They are partakers in tobacco.
Snuff is tobacco. Good for you. Can you explain this version of tobacco to people who might not be familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. I love dipping, so I'm a monster. There's 3 different types of chewing tobacco. First one is something like a brand called Redman, where it's actually like tobacco leaves and they're like soaked in molasses and you chew on it. That's actual chew. Then there's dip, where it's strands of tobacco leaves that are like really, really thin, and you would put that in your lip. But snuff is more or less a fine powder. It's like, it's very, very fine. You do the same thing, you put it in your lip, and it still gives you a buzz.
And this was often taken in the nose, actually.
That too.
It would come with a little tiny spoon, and you put it up to your nostril, snip it in. Some people actually grew out their pinky fingernail so they could dip it in, and other people, the real crass ones, would put it on the back of their hand here and like that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Why is this in this play? I guarantee you it's not coming back the rest of the show. Why is this in here? What
I think it's what I did in that time period.
Nathan,
Yeah,
what?
it's like the whole thing.
It's just something that they did during that time, and
Well,
Wait,
obviously,
still time, I guess.
obviously it is because it's that time and they're doing it. But I'm just wondering, like, they also shot turkey and ate it. So why didn't you just shoot a turkey right there?
different flavor.
I didn't feel like
Because they're outside the theater.
they're outside by a theater, okay, and then turkey shoots are frowned upon in that scenario.
Maybe they're
Usually.
like a little stressed, and so that's how they like the equivalent of smoking a cigarette back then.
Hammers, I'm gonna come over there and just give you a big digital hug. Why do we take any sort of medicinal herb or anything like that? Because we want to fix something. And nicotine is totally a stress reliever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel good. So why would she be stressed right now? Can we use some of her given circumstances to maybe figure that out? Why she'd take a bit of snuff right there?
He's acting.
She's acting?
She just had to like reject him. She's uncomfortable.
Okay. Fletcher, unpack that. I think you're right on.
He just like professed his love to her, but then right after that said, "Oh, but you don't love me." And then she's just in the awkward situation of like, "Yep." And so she's trying to like fill the air or cut the tension with the snuff.
It's the equivalent of taking the phone out while someone's talking to you. Like, is she even necessary in this conversation? Medvedenko's like, I love you. I know you don't love me. And I'm going to just talk and talk and talk. And what is she expected to do right now? This is right after a stroll by the lake in the twilight. And she knows he's walked 4 miles. And he asks, can you go for a walk? And she doesn't say no. By the way, ladies, just tell us. Just tell us. So nice to know.
Aren't you married?
They're not married.
No, you.
Am I married? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Oh, well, see, you don't have that issue.
I don't anymore. But I would like her to tell me what she's thinking. because that would be awesome. So it's a super awkward situation. Amorous, 100%. There's a stress reliever. There's also another reason. She's taken tobacco. And what do we know about tobacco?
It's expensive.
Addictive.
It's addictive. We don't know that yet because Philip Morris has not covered it up yet. But Fletcher said it's expensive, and we know that because on the on the last page, shoot, I brought my water downstairs. On the last page, Medvedenko says tobacco, sugar, tea. Can't afford those. Pardon me. Going back to screen share. Get back in the game. All right. Masha, your line. Go for it.
It's awfully close. I expect there'll be a thunderstorm. You're always holding forth or talking about money. According to you, there's no greater misfortune than poverty. But I'd 100 times rather walk about in rags and beg than, but you wouldn't understand that.
Stop right there. Anything new?
We learned that, well, when she paused, that she'd rather do this than, and then didn't really say it. Sorry, that's my dog talking. That there's something that she doesn't necessarily feel comfortable talking about with Medvedenko.
Okay, a big digital hug for you, Mr. Weatherwax. I was going to talk about ellipses because they really do mean two different things. One of the things they can mean is I don't know what the words are here. That's why playwrights put them in. I went to the you buy salad there at the grocery store. So I went to the ... because I can't think of the words. What Ethan's talking about is reason number 2 is that I know what the words are, I just don't think I should say it. Make sense? We've got a couple of ellipses on the page above. We've got here and here. What do you think this one is?
Him thinking.
Him thinking, yes. Thank you. It needs to also be a little bit waiting for Masha to respond. I don't understand. And Masha just looks at him. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your health. Because she doesn't have any lines there, he's forced to fill that gap. Have you ever had a teacher teaching an online Zoom class that just keeps talking and talking because the class is kind of quiet? Has anybody ever encountered that? Anybody ever feel like that ever happens to any of their teachers ever in any of their classes ever?
Never.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't really have
No idea what you're talking about.
It's my trap. When it's quiet, because I'm an actor and a teacher, I like to fill up the gap. So be careful. Down here, this one right here, what is it?
I think that's him realizing that he doesn't have enough money to buy, the things that he wants, like
Okay.
tea, sugar, and tobacco.
So is it one of those things where he doesn't know what to say or he doesn't feel like saying it?
Doesn't feel like saying it.
Great. How about this?
She doesn't want to say it, at least not to.
Of course, look at this, but you wouldn't understand is right after, right? We don't know this yet because we're not that far in the play, but she is in love with Constantine. Constantine, her boss, her dad's boss's nephew. And she can't have him. And frankly, he doesn't even see her because he's in love with Nina. So she's saying, All the money in the world can't buy the one thing that I want, which is the affection of this one guy who's in a different social class and doesn't even know I exist. So that's her lot. Nice work. Let's bring Soren in, stage manager.
Thorin and Constantine enter on right, leaning on his cane.
I don't know, my boy. I don't know, my boy, but somehow or the other, the country never agrees with me, and I think it's clear that we shall never get used to it now. Last night I went to bed at 10. This morning I woke up at 9, feeling as though my brains were glued to my skull from too much sleep and all that. Ha, ha, ha. But after lunch, I dropped off again, and now every bone in my body is aching. I feel wretched. I mean, after all.
Keep going.
I suppose you really ought to live in town, Uncle.
Now we stop. Cool. This is Chekhov in a nutshell, just a little literary stuff. This laughing at pain, that's Chekhov's thing. All his plays are comedies, and everybody was like, I don't see what funny there is. It's because they don't understand that concept that Russians think pain and misery is hilarious. All right, so what do we learn here?
That he's either like old or unhealthy.
Old and unhealthy, I'm gonna say are both judgy.
He needs a cane for some reason.
I love it. He's leaning on his cane. For what reason, we don't know, but he seems to be using it. What else do we know?
He doesn't sleep well.
He doesn't sleep well. Where do we see that?
I guess that was judgy, my bad.
Well, I'm just looking at how much does he sleep?
Well, it says he sleeps too much, but you could also have too much sleep in the same way you can have too little sleep.
Oh, I understand.
If you sleep poorly, even though you're getting 8 hours, if it's not the right kind of sleep, then you're gonna wake up feeling as if your brains are just glued to the inside of your skull, I guess.
Okay, nicely put. And what else?
We learned that he doesn't live in town.
Correct. He lives out here, and the country doesn't agree with him, so it's the country's fault. Look at this line. Which, given the circumstances, that?
Maybe that could describe being older, but it also couldn't.
Well, it's literally saying my bones ache. So that is a total fact, an awesome playable fact. It's going to affect how fast I move.
Okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with being old as much as having your bones ache. Now, it's something we missed earlier. If we pay attention to the script, everything makes sense. This line, it's awfully close. I expect there'll be a thunderstorm. Does anybody know what it's awfully close means? It's a weird phrase we don't use much anymore.
So like it's about to happen?
No.
It's like it's too bad it's close or something.
And we're using that 21st century definition of the word close. It means it's a little claustrophobic. It's a little heavy. It's a little muggy out. And picture her in your head. She's Masha. She's wearing all black, and it's an Edwardian dress. So probably sleeves all the way down, probably all the way up the neck, probably a choker down to the floor. And it's a thunderstorms are coming. So if you've been in an Arizona monsoon and you walk outside right before it happens, and it's kind of like this weird sort of thickness, wearing that dress, okay? Well, if this storm is coming, that's going to affect your joints, isn't it? And if you're prone to that sort of thing, every bone in your body is going to ache. I'm leaning on my cane. Cool. Starting with this stage direction, seeing Masha, go.
Let's see. Oh, seeing Masha and Medvedchenko.
You two shouldn't be here. I'll let you know when we're ready to start. Please go.
To Masha.
Will you ask your father to tell him to let the dog off the chain? It howls. It kept my sister awake last night.
All right, I'm going to make you do that one again. As you managed to switch out a bunch of words. Every once in a while, you'll flip out a word there, Christopher. I just want you to slow down. My piano teacher used to tell me, play this song. She'd give me a new piece of music. He'd say, play this song as fast as you can, as soon as I got it, without making any mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Which meant I had to play it this fast. Because any faster I would make mistakes. So just 2 ticks slower, I think you'll get those words right.
Will you ask your father to tell them to let the dog off the chain? It howls. It kept my sister awake last night.
And we still flipped out that again, right?
Did I? What word am I flipping?
Oh, again, you forgot to say that.
Oh my gosh, I'm not seeing it. Jeez.
Right.
All right. Will you ask your father to tell them to let the dog off the chain? It howls. It kept my sister awake again last night.
I'd rather you spoke to my father yourself. I'm not going to say anything to him. Please don't ask me.
Medvedchenko.
Oh, to Medvedchenko.
Come along.
To Konstantin.
You won't forget to call us before it begins, will you?
Both go out.
Oh, right. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Well, I suppose that means the damn dog will be howling all night again.
Stop.
It's a funny thing.
I want you to stop right there. Okay. What did we learn in that little section? I want to hear from new folks. Lauren, speak up. Rachel, want to hear from you. Hui, Keenan.
Masha probably does not have a good relationship with her father.
There's some reason she's not talking to him, right? Cool. What else, guys?
Someone has a dog.
So Ilya's probably got a dog, probably to protect the property, and they chain him up at night. Something
I'm not
else.
sure. Not sure if anybody else said it, or doesn't have a good connection with Masha's dad?
Why would you say that? Because that's an awesome observation.
Because it says right here, I'd rather you spoke to my father yourself. I'm not going to say anything to him. Please don't ask me. To Soren when he asked her to let the dog off the chain, or to her dad.
Right. And then 2 lines later, he says, well, I suppose that means the damn dog will be howling all night again. Which means he's not going to talk to his agent either. And so something's going on there. Great observation. Nicely done. Couple other things in this tiny little section that are super important play-wise.
What is man, I can't pronounce his name.
Medvedchenko.
Whatever. Yeah. What is he talking about when he says you won't forget to call us before it begins? What's beginning? Is that you talking about the play from earlier?
Yes, this thing here.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh.
Constantine wrote it and he goes, "What are you doing here? You don't belong here." And like, you guys got to get out of here. So he doesn't want to miss the play. His when is before the play. And maybe he'll get to sit next to Masha and hold her hand. Wouldn't that be nice? How does Soren know the dog howls all night?
Because it keeps his sister awake night after night.
That's why this word again was so important to me. This is not the first time you've had this conversation with your sister, is it?
Mm-hmm.
If you've been kept up night after night by a howling dog, one of you pretend you're Irina for a second. You're the sister. Every night the dog howls and you can't sleep. How are you going to tell your brother to take care of it?
Does everybody in this scene, do they live close together?
Well, we know Medvedenko's 4 miles from home.
Yes, I guess does
everyone else
Soren?
does.
Soren is the uncle, right?
Yeah.
Uncle to Masha. So
No, sorry. He's the uncle to Constantine.
okay,
And Masha is the daughter of his employer, of his employee.
okay. So do they live relatively close together then? If
Yes.
all know about this dog.
They all live on the property.
Okay.
Great observation. Okay. Let's move along from It's a Funny Thing.
It's a funny thing, but I never managed to live as I liked in the country. I used to get leave for 28 days to come down here for a rest and so on. But the moment I arrived, they worried me with all sorts of trifles, so that on the very first day, I wished I'd never come back. Ha! I always been glad to get away from here, but now I've retired. I've nowhere to go and got to live here, whether I like it or not.
Cool. So just for your own edification, Christopher, you're putting back right after come here.
Okay.
Just keep your eyes open. If you know that about yourself, you're going to be totally fine. What do we learn from that?
Was he in the military?
What word in here makes you think of military?
Take leave, or used to get leave for 28 days.
Yeah. Leave is a very militaristic term. Yes. Now, check this out. Leaning on his cane, military service. You now have more of a reason to think, maybe I got a piece of metal stuck somewhere. Kind of cool. Now, here's the other thing. Military service has been mentioned once before. For whom? Who else had military service?
Masha's dad.
Yeah.
I think it was I.
The estate agent.
The one who runs the estate.
Yeah, totally. And what was his rank?
Yeah.
He was a lieutenant.
Did I pause on you guys? Am I still
That's
here?
what it was.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the lieutenant.
Yeah.
All right. So is it possible that Shemrayev worked under Soren in the military and he's just hired him on again since he was lieutenant for him back in their old job?
It's possible.
I love that idea. Always making connections. Cool. And 28 days of leave, that's a whole ton of leave to have in a row. So he's probably got a pretty sweet job. That's a judgment. Judgment. All right. We need a Yakov.
I can do it.
Thank you. Here we go.
May we go for a dip in the lake, sir?
I think you're muted, Alex.
All right, go. But see that you're in your places in 10 minutes.
Looks at his watch.
We shall be starting soon.
Very good, sir.
Examining.
Anything new there?
Constantine
Yakov
has
is
a watch.
He's got a watch. Great.
Yakov is sort of under the jurisdiction of Constantine.
Great. Typically, this guy's played by the most ripped young man you've ever seen, and he'll take his shirt off on stage and be like, "Can we go for a dip in the lake?" And so very good job reading it. You did a great job. And now we know why the lake is there. But it's 10 minutes before we open. Oh, it's not 10 minutes before we open. It's 10 minutes to places. Sorry about that. And Yakov will be running the show soaking wet. All right. Constantine, let's start here.
Examining the stage.
Now here's a theater for you, Uncle. The curtain, the first swing, the second, and beyond that, open space. No scenery. You look straight across toward the lake and the horizon. The curtain goes up at exactly 8:30, just when the moon rises.
Splendid.
If Nina's late, then of course the whole effect will be ruined. It's time she was here. Her father and stepmother don't let her out of their sight. She finds it as hard to get out of her house as to break out of prison.
That's where we'll stop. We learned lots of stuff there. Kui, I'm going to ask you to chime in. What did we learn there?
I'm sorry, sir. You. Damn. I didn't pay attention, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You got to read along with us, and then you'll have a better shot at that. Lauren, did you pick up anything that we learned?
Well, we get to know a little bit about Nina's home life, kind of, or her relationship with her parents.
Okay.
And that she has a stepmother.
Mm-hmm. Which was what? What did we learn? Stepmother, anything else?
They're strict with her.
Okay. At least Constantine thinks they're strict with her, right? He's judging her, but that's fine. That's a fact for Constantine. Any reason why they wouldn't let her out of their sight?
Maybe she's a bit rebellious.
Well, what is she doing tonight?
Acting.
Yes. And she's the daughter of a wealthy landowner. We learned that from the first page, right? Is that a respectable thing for a daughter of a wealthy landowner to do?
No.
No, not at all, especially at this time. What parents in their right minds would let their children who have a future decide to do performance for a living? Got to be out of their minds. Okay. So, let's go from "you do look an awful mess, Uncle."
You do look an awful mess, Uncle. Hair and beard disheveled. You should have a trim or something.
Combing out his beard.
It's the tragedy of my life. I used to look just the same when I was young, as though I were always drunk. Women never cared for me.
Sitting down.
Great. Anything new?
He was always drunk.
Well, no.
Beard.
No, he wasn't always drunk. It says, as though I were always drunk.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
Pretty sure Soren might be
I get
old.
that all the time, man.
Are you drunk right now? So His hair and beard are disheveled, according to Constantine, and it's right before Constantine's play, so he wants everything to be perfect. And Soren's just kind of used to it. He's like, yeah, I could never make it look like I wasn't drunk. Maybe because I was, maybe because I wasn't. All right, let's get into this next beat. Why is here?
Why is your mother in such a bad temper?
Why? Bored, I suppose.
Sitting down beside Soren.
Jealous. Already she's against me, against the performance, and against my play because Nina is acting in it and not she. She doesn't know my play, but that doesn't stop her hating it.
Laughs.
Good Lord. You get strange ideas, don't you?
Oh no. I tell you, she can't hear to think that on this little stage it will be Nina and not she who will shine.
Glances at his watch.
Oh, hold real quick. We didn't talk about this. You nailed the watch thing, Rachel. But how much thought has Constantine put into this performance?
He must have put a lot in.
Any evidence of that?
Because
Scroll up.
I think he doesn't want, I think,
Yeah, it's
woman to not be in it. Or wait, not because of that.
Well, he's got his girlfriend in it. That's a big deal.
yeah, but it also says that the mom, where he claims that the mom doesn't know the play.
Yeah.
So his mom won't even read it. So that's a big deal. Anything else to show the amount of planning that went into it?
I feel like you can tell how important it is to him because he wants things to be together. And you can tell that by him talking about Nina's tardiness as well as the glancing of the watch, meaning that he's making sure that like every single second he can tell, you know, how much closer he is to the performance starting.
Right. And also, look at this. The curtain goes up at exactly 8:30, just when the moon rises. So he's got the date planned. He's got the time the moon rises from the almanac. Like, here's another thing. He had this stage built. I replaced the wood in my fence, my side fence to the backyard this weekend. Actually, last couple of days. I say I did it. I just cut the wood, and the kids and Karen actually put it in. It looks great. Anyhow, the bolts on it were $30. The wood was like almost $200 for the wood. How much cost, expense, time, sweat, blood, whatever went into building an entire stage out in the country?
Another thing was the fact that the entire purpose of the stage was to be able to show off the moon rising, which is why there's no scenery.
Yes, and he's placed it exactly in the right spot across the lake. Oh, so cool.
We also, I mean, we don't know how he feels about it, or we know how he feels towards his mother, but we know at some point he asked for her approval, or like wanted her opinion on it, but she doesn't like it. We know his judgment toward his mother, but we don't know if he would prefer her approval or not prefer her approval. It could be a question we could answer later on.
Totally a question to answer later on, but ask any little boy if he wants his mommy to love him, and the answer is yes. And that's like Sigmund Freud is just coming out at this time. And there's so much mother stuff coming out. Like, we boys like our moms, and we just do. So a lot of stuff going on here. Let's read this next part. Mother's a psychological case.
Mother's a psychological case, an amusing case, if you like. She's undoubtedly talented. She's clever. She's capable of crying over a book. She'll recite you the whole of the poet Nekrovskov by heart. She'll nurse you when you're sick like an angel, but just try and praising deuce in her presence. Dear me, no. Only she must be praised, only she must be written about, only she must be acclaimed. You have to be in raptures over her marvelous acting in La Dame aux Camélias or in Life's Dizzy Whirl. But in the country, she doesn't find this constant adulation. She feels bored. She's in a temper. We're all her enemies. It's all our fault. And then she's terribly superstitious, afraid of 3 candles, of the number 13. She means she has 70,000 rubles.
Wait, go back. She means, or
Oh, she's mean.
that's a totally different sentence.
Yeah. She's mean. She has 70,000 rubles in a bank in Odyssey. I know that for a fact, but ask her to lend you some money and she'll burst into tears.
Okay. We learned a whole ton of information in that little paragraph there. This is a terrific monologue, by the way, if you're ever looking for audition material. Kui, what did we learn there about Constantine or his mom?
Constantine. You can come back to me like 15 minutes. I need more concentration. Sorry.
I can't come back to you in 15 minutes because we'll be out of class. So I gave you a second shot. I was like, hey, let's try this again. Anybody else? Ethan, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Can you repeat the question really quick?
Oh, what did we learn about Constantine or his mom in this last place?
Well, we learned that she is, by their standards, maybe this is a judgment, but she is wealthy. She has 70,000 rubles in a bank.
Which one of those is the fact? Wealthy or 70,000 rubles?
70,000 rubles is the fact. Wealthy is the judgment.
Just for funsies, watch this. 70,000 rubles. Okay. Divided by, how many times does 23 go into 70,000? Where does this magical number 23 come from, besides the flavors of Dr. Pepper?
His income of rubles per month.
That's Medvedenko's income. He'll have to work 3,043 months to get that. That's roughly 253.6 years. So right around July of his 253rd year, he'll have finally, if he doesn't spend any money, have as much as she has saved in the bank. So we can talk about rich and poor, but we do know this is a significant amount compared to what a schoolmaster makes. And she's an actress, so she must be fairly well known for what she does. Does that make sense? Okay, now she has to live in the country. Ugh, the country. All right. The other thing I want to point out that's a little weird here is that he knows exactly how much she has in the bank. Is that strange? How many of you guys, I'm going to do this, I'm going to stop sharing for a second because we're going to do a different thing. How many of you guys know exactly how much your parents have in their checking accounts or savings accounts right now?
Don't even get to know their salary.
Right?
No.
Would it be weird if we're at a dinner conversation and you're like, oh yeah, folks got 14 grand in the bank?
That would be very weird.
So there's either been a concerted effort to find out or an accidental find out of this information. The fact that he knows it for a fact tells me a lot about Constantine.
Maybe also, possibly, this is, I'm just spitballing, but maybe his mother is very, very about her wealth. She sort of flaunts it around, which sort of gives him an idea of how he knows that.
He knows that life, that actor life, and she's in these circles. And I'm only guessing too, but Mom, I wrote a play. Would you like to see it? Oh, darling, I'd love to. Could I have a couple extra bucks to build a stage out back and put it up for you? Honey.
So
I mean,
Cross is just trying to get the approval of his mother.
always. And we're going to find out through the whole course of the play how important that mom-son relationship is. There's some really awesome scenes later on. But yeah, that's the crux of it. Pay attention to your family. I would cast the mom from Arrested Development to play this character in a second. Have you seen this show, Arrested Development? She's also an archer.
Yeah.
Just that whole like, oh, please, my life is the worst, and we're so poor, and we're living in a penthouse somewhere in Hollywood, or Beverly Hills, sorry, not Hollywood. That'd be a scary place to have. All right, do you get the impression how much information comes out of every single flipping line of this stupid play?
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
I'm intentionally overwhelming you with this information because I need you to know the amount of work that's ahead of you. I can tell an actor who has a general idea of the given circumstances. And Stanislavski in his book, I don't know if it's in this book, but writes, generality is the enemy of art. You got to be specific. And the more emotional content you can dig out of these lines. How much stuff did we find out from omissions? Like, he doesn't mention his dad. That would be significant. Even the stuff that's not written becomes important. And you can play a small part in a play and get a wealth of information and feel like you're playing the lead because they're so familiar to you. There's so much richness. There's so much environment. There's so much other stuff that you can just make a fully three-dimensional realized character. I'm going to flip for a second into a different thing. Well, I'm going to give a quick announcement, and then I'm going to flip into a different activity. My announcement is, for today's participation, I'd like you to go into LoudCloud and answer my post on the wall. Small admission, I've been very bad about recording your participation in the class because it's hard for me to tell who's where. Like when Keenan, I can't see him in his screen. I don't know if he's there or not, but he is because he just flipped it down. Hi, Keenan. I love your beautiful face. So what I'm asking you to do is take one thing you learned today that you can like put into your a performance you might have had in the past, like, oh, if I would have known, I could have done this. Or if you have a present sort of thing to think about, just one solid thing, post it on the wall. I'll use that as participation. Cool? Next, we're going to do an activity. We're going to have a performance on Tuesday.
I'm sorry.
On the wall in the classroom, I have posted this one little thing. I want you to respond to it, and that'll be your participation. It's essentially taking one thing you learned from class and applying it to your life. We're going to do a performance on Tuesday. How many of you guys are moving in on Tuesday? Nobody? Yes. Okay. Lauren is?
I'm going to be traveling too.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'll be able to.
So you'll go on Thursday then.
Okay.
Okay. But I am going to split you up right now into groups of 2. There may be a group of 3 because math is hard. And in LoudCloud, as an announcement, I have posted something called contentless scenes. These are scenes that have 0 given circumstances. So what I want you and your partner to do for the last 20 minutes of class in your breakout room is open that sucker up. Each page is a single scene. Aspen, you probably don't have it because you're in a different weird online room that I can't find anywhere. So, anybody else? Ethan, can you see it?
See what now?
My contentless scenes that I posted earlier?
Hold on,
I
let
can-
me.
They're not attached. Oh, for
Yeah,
me.
there's nothing attached. It just says here are 11 contentless scenes in your
There's
little.
nothing attached?
No.
That's my problem. I'll attach it right now.
For me, I actually managed to pull them up.
Okay, because I think you're in the ground version of it. So let me, thank you very much. Anyhow, you'll have to fill in all 4 given circumstances: who, what, where, and when. And without changing any words in the script, you and your partner are going to perform on Tuesday, and we're going to guess when we watch what your who, what, where, and when are. Maybe you're an old married couple. No, you're a married couple for 65 years. It's right before the birth of your great-great-great-grandchild. And you're in a Ferris wheel, and you are baking cookies. Okay? All those things you're going to show us in the scene while you're doing the words. Okay? So let me get into contentless scene here. Yeah, looks like I just didn't attach it. So let me quickly fix it. Added attachment. All right, refresh your screen and tell me.
I see it.
Sweet. Okay. Yay. All right, so now I'm going to put you in these breakout rooms, and I'm going to bop in and out of them and just see if you guys have any questions. All right, so Ethan, Keenan, and Mala, you 3 are going to be in a breakout room together, which means you'll pick one scene, and then one of you will do it twice, and the other person will just swap in. Now, build 2 separate scenes, 2 separate scenarios with different given circumstances for each. But it'll be the same words. Alex and Nerman, you're in a room together. Nathan and Rachel. Hui and Lauren, you're in a room together. Aspen and Christopher. And Amaris and Fletcher. Cool? All right, pick a scene. You'll memorize it by Tuesday or Thursday. And I'll be in a room shortly just listening in. All right, Nathan, that was the class for today. Hope it was useful, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Don't worry about the performance. I'll talk to you and Miriam on Tuesday.